So eXtremerate has just launched the Rise4 Plus Max kit for PS5, but is this thing really worth it? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my personal opinion after using this kit for a couple weeks, and we will be concluding whether this kit is worth it for you or not. Now, whether you're a casual gamer who likes to play games every once in a while, or if you're one of those intense players who likes to compete at the highest level and you really want that significant edge from the rest of the players, I can guarantee you this kit is revolutionary. Just as an FYI, this video is not sponsored by any means. I'm just giving you my personal unbiased opinion about eXtremerate's newest launch. With that being said, you can use this code on your screen to get a 10% off from any product at eXtremerate.com, so definitely don't forget to use it. So this is what the Rise4 Plus Max kit is all about. You can see behind this controller, we have this remapping section, which gives you the K1 and the K2. Essentially, you can remap any of these face buttons into the K1 and the K2. So that's the remapping section right there. In addition, we also have these two trigger stops. So here you have your trigger buttons, the R2 and the L2. You can activate these trigger stops, and now you have a wonderful clicky effect. The Rise4 Plus Max kit comes with the regular plastic version, and this is going to cost you $45.99. And you can also spend $7 more and get the metal version. This is going to cost you $52.99. So the Rise4 Plus Max kit is all about having the remappable feature on your PlayStation controller in addition to the trigger stops, so you have both in one as a single package. But the good thing about eXtremerate, you can only buy the remap kit if you don't care about the trigger stops, or if you really want to experience those trigger clicks and you don't care about the remap, you can also buy the trigger stops only. So that's a good thing. eXtremerate also has the Rise4 version of this kit, where you'll have a total of 4 K buttons. In this case, I only have the K1 and the K2, which are more than enough for me. This modded controller is well suited for numerous types of games. If you're into first-person shooting games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, or Destiny 2, you will benefit from those hair trigger stops as they allow you for quicker firing. The remappable back pedals also enable you to perform actions like jumping, weapon switching, or reloading your gun without you having to take your fingers off the analog stick, so this is a huge plus. Even my neighbor Laszlo says that he found it quite helpful to play battle royale type of games like Fortnite or Apex Legends. But what is so special about this kit is this kit is literally replicating the PS5 DualSense Edge controller, which costs $200. And this thing costs quarter of that money. Now let's jump into the ergonomics of this kit. You can grab the regular plastic version for $45.99, and as the name suggests, this thing is entirely made out of plastic. The K1 and the K2 are all plastic. You can pay $7 more and grab the metal version for the same remappable kit. The only difference, this hardware is made out of metal. And I must say from the start, this is $7 definitely worth spending. The metal version gives a much premium look, a much premium feel, and you actually get better button feedback when you're pressing against the K1 and the K2, so definitely get the metal version. But just keep in mind that the metal version will be a little bit more heavier than the plastic. But with that being said, both kits do come with the same back grip. It's literally one of the best grips that I ever received from eXtremerate, so kudos to you for that. If you're someone with sweaty hands, you're not gonna have any issues using this controller. I do have to comment about the trigger stops. Sure, they're nice and firm, they do the job, but I do have to snug my nail inside when making the shift. So maybe eXtremerate can try to loosen this up a little bit in future releases. You only have 2 colors to choose from, those being the black ones, which I have in both these controllers, and you also have the gray-white option. So I wish there were perhaps a bit more color options for me to choose from, maybe something in the Nova Pink so I could have a complete look, but that is a subjective opinion. I think it still looks pretty decent having black in one side and the original color on the other side. In this kit, you also have the option to solder, so you can remap the L3 and the R3, but unfortunately you'd have to solder for that. So for most users, this is not really necessary. Everything else you can remap onto the K1 and the K2. An average user would want to skip the soldering aspect anyway, but if you're playing a game like Destiny 2, where you have to click and point in order to sprint, in that type of scenario, I would really appreciate having a remap onto the K1 and the K2. Now let's talk about the installation. How easy or how hard was it for me to install this kit? Well, if it is the first time for you, you will be facing a little bit of a learning curve because you will have to do an open heart surgery on your PlayStation 5 controller. But I urge you to throw that fear out of the window because there's a good chance you will have to likely open up a controller again. Maybe you want to replace the thumbsticks as a steering out or fix the stick drift. eXtremerate has an amazing step-by-step installation video on their official channel. I'll leave a link to their video in the description, so just follow that video and you should be good. But hey, the first time opening up the controller is gonna feel the most intimidating for an average user, so you should definitely go for it, and who knows, you might even like modding. After installing this kit, I can tell you it is fairly easy to remap these buttons with the K1 and the K2. Once again, follow the video. And I also found absolutely no lag between these buttons as well as the game, which is very good. And finally, the battery health. There was absolutely no difference in battery health. Here's a little note that I did not notice in any of the product description. If you decide not to solder, this will keep the adaptive triggers on for both the mods. If you do decide to solder, this will limit adaptive triggers to the regular mode only. All in all, if you want to experience how it feels to play the PS5 Edge controller without having to spend a fortune, this DIY kit is 100% recommended. After using this controller for 2 weeks, I can safely say I've had absolutely no issues with any of the buttons and my experience has been flawless. And don't forget to use that discount code for 10% off from any product at eXtremerate.com, and happy gaming!